boys and girls. Thank you for joining me today. I have a wonderful book to share with you. It's called Missy by Jan Brett. Jan Brett is the illustrator, which is the person that made the pictures, and the author. Let's listen to the story. Before we start the story, I want to read something about Jan Brett. That is a picture of Jan Brett. And she says about her book, "One summer morning, my husband Joe and I were dangling our feet from our dock on Goose Lake. I was watching some water weeds on the bottom, thinking that they looked just like a giant turtle. Suddenly, they swam up towards us. It was a turtle, a huge snapping one with an underwater garden on its shell. This story, Missy, was written about that experience. I chose an eastern box turtle because I wanted my turtle to live on land and grow a gorgeous garden on her carapace." Remember, carapace is the shell. "I named her friend Scoot because a turtle's shell is made up of plates called scoots. Joe and I thought it would be wonderful to have our own turtle pond, so we built one with rocks for sunning, caves to hide in, and all kinds of wonderful things. It has taken a long time, but I enjoy my turtle pond. Enjoy this book." Okay, so let's start and find out all about Missy. Do you think Missy's a boy or a girl? Let's find out. One misty morning, a young turtle stood at the edge of Lily Pad Pond. Her name was Missy. There she is. I guess it's a girl. Missy liked this damp, cool place. She spent so much time here that her curlicues of moss began to grow on her carapace until her shell was covered with them. As the spring days got warmer, tiny ferns unfurled and wildflowers began to blossom. Soon Missy's shell was home to an amazing garden. Oh, that's pretty cool. Missy liked to look at her reflection in Lily Pad Pond and see what was growing in her garden. Do you see her reflection right here? Every day brought a surprise, a new flower, or perhaps a delicious wild strawberry. Missy's garden was growing wider and taller. I wonder who this little girl is. Look at all the pictures around. One day, Missy was standing by Lily Pad Pond when the water rippled and two ruby red eyes looked up at her. It was a handsome turtle she hadn't seen before. There he is. Scoot had never seen a lady turtle like Missy. He thought her garden was pretty, but it was Missy who made his heart beat fast. She was breathtaking. There's that girl again. Someone over here. Scoot scrambled up the bank and walked toward Missy. Entranced by those ruby eyes, Missy made her way into the open glade toward Scoot. Just then, Dr. Carolina, on her morning walk with her niece, Tori, so that must be Tori, spotted Missy. Gently, Dr. Carolina picked her up. She is perfect for the museum. So she must work at a museum, a scientist. Never had Dr. Carolina's museum had a wonderful extraordinary garden-growing turtle. She and Tori made a home for Mossy in a viewing pavilion with plants, a reflecting pool, and everything they thought a turtle would need. So they put her in kind of like an aquarium, and it says Mossy Eastern Box Turtle. But Mossy already had everything she needed back at Lily Pad Pond, and she longed to go home and find her new friend. Every day Scoot waited for Mossy, but Mossy didn't come back. I think that's Scoot. All summer, visitors came to see Mossy in her famous garden. They watched her eat raspberries and mealyworms, mushrooms and lettuce, but Mossy didn't seem happy to Tori, and Dr. Carolina was too busy to notice. Mossy was lonely for Scoot. She had stopped looking at her garden in the reflecting pool because it made her remember those ruby red eyes shining like jewels, peering at her from Lily Pad Pond. Thoughts of Scoot only made her sad. Snow fell outside, but inside the museum, Mossy's garden kept growing, and people flocked to see Dr. Carolina was thrilled that Mossy had made her museum famous. Today, Tori and her class had come to see Mossy. The meteorites and the geodes amazed the children. They loved the woodland diorama, the butterflies and the shells. Finally, Dr. Carolina said it was time to see a special exhibit. The children gathered around the viewing pavilion. At first they didn't see Mossy, and then she started to walk, her magnificent garden swaying back and forth. The little turtle captivated the children. Mossy is a special turtle, said Dr. Carolina. Her garden grows and changes all year round. She is never hungry or cold. She is safe living in the museum. Here with us, Mossy could live to be 100 years old. Tori frowned. She loved the museum. She had helped her aunt collect wonderful things on their walks, but Mossy was the first living creature that Dr. Carolina had taken to live in the museum. Is that why she looks so sad? Tori wondered. Do you think Mossy is happy here? Tori asked her aunt. Does she have any turtle friends? The children asked. No, but here we all have the opportunity to see her. Dr. Carolina paused. The children had given her an idea. On the first day of spring, a sign on the front of the museum read, "Closed. Do not disturb." Two women arrived at the back of the museum. Dr. Carolina and Tori were there to meet them. Everyone wondered what this meant. 1 day passed, 2 days passed, then 3. After a week, everyone was invited inside. Dr. Carolina introduced the 2 mystery women. Please meet Flora and Fauna, she said. The curtain was pulled aside, revealing a portrait of Mossy, larger than life, with her garden painted in glowing detail. Ooh, look at this beautiful painting. Flora had painted all the plants. Fauna had painted Mossy. Together, the artists had captured a moment in time that would never fade. Everyone cheered and clapped. Here are the 2 artists, Flora and Fauna. At dusk, Dr. Carolina gently put Mossy in a collection basket. Come with me, she said to Tori, and off they went to take Mossy back to Lily Pad Pond. Together they said goodbye to their garden-growing friend and put her in the glade next to the waterfall, exactly where Dr. Carolina had found her. Mossy was home. The next morning, the warm spring sun woke up Scoot from his bed beneath the leaves. He opened his ruby red eyes and he saw Mossy. Their year apart vanished into the past. At the museum, the portrait of Mossy continued to amaze visitors. "What an extraordinary work of art and nature!" they exclaimed. The world changed as the years went by and Tori grew up, but Mossy's portrait is still there in Dr. Carolina's museum for all to see, not knowing that not far away on the misty, moisty edge of Lily Pad Pond, an old turtle stands, and her name is Mossy. And look at that, friends. There's Mossy and Scoot, friends. So I have a fun activity for us to do today. I want you, your moms and dads have a little template or an outline of a turtle. And I want you to go outside and do some nature collecting. I've collected some flowers in my yard, some leaves, some green branches, and I decorated my turtle to look like Mossy with a garden on top. And I want you to write her name, Mossy, on the top. Have fun.